most closely resonate myself primarily with Wildcard, next with Slate Wizard, then with Trend Tracker, and then Marketing Maven. Today I talk about the field of Stats Mouse and the Innovation Forge vocabulary. Let's see how innovation meets artistry as we forge something extraordinary together.
You are listening to the Innovation Forge, the #1 podcast on adaptive enrollment management, exploring the data, marketing, and strategy that fuels higher education. Here's your host, David Dysart.
Let's see how the report Ghostwriter and the Forgesmith Trials take shape today. Today I announced the winner of the Consultant Cadre naming competition. But first, I'm gonna take a peek behind the curtain of the Forgesmith Trials, a new forthcoming episode title with you. So I am finding myself at yet another project for the podcast. I've started a lot of things in the second season between the Fieldsmith's Register and the Forge Bellows newsletter. And in fact, I'm actually doing my audiobook of the Innovation Forge because of those two new episode types. But I was on LinkedIn and taking a quick eyeball break, looking at what's going on. Which I will say, I love seeing that there is more Slate content on LinkedIn. But there is also a lot of other great content, whether it's admissions, marketing, data, strategy. Maybe this is a good call to action. Subscribe, all that. But drop in the comments, who are you following on LinkedIn? Whether it's podcasters or thought leaders or whatever it might be. How are you getting these kinds of insights and bold takes and cold takes and hot takes and everything in between? But that's an aside. As you can see, I'm easily stumbling down asides. But I was happening to be on LinkedIn and got a notification, and mildly annoyed at all the notifications I get on LinkedIn that aren't actually relevant to me. But this one, very grateful for, because it's just one of those pieces that helped thoughts click together. It was the missing puzzle piece that I needed. Similar to how I've talked about Eric Hoffpower leading me to quorum scoring with his quorum sensing concept and project. But this was just like a poll, hey, are you like a squirrel or a turtle when it comes to data? And I was just like, oh, why am I not doing that for my Slate team and my Codex practitioners? I should be doing a bracket, like a March Madness bracket, where I'm pitting it's 10 of the Slate team members, like the Slate Captain, the Slate Wizard, the Wildcard, things like that. And then it's for the folks who have listened to and seen the Innovation Codex, where I introduced those 6 methodologies: metricurgy, mentallurgy, datamancy, stuff like that. I've since expanded that to 12. But I should be pitting those into brackets. That's a great way to fun and community engagement. I will say, and admit, I was very concerned that I was going to put up all these polls and the only vote was going to be me. But I'm recording this, just started the 3rd poll earlier today, and luckily I am getting some votes. Would have been very awkward to say, with a sound thrashing of 1-0 votes, the winner is. Would have been a little awkward, but I don't know if I'm going to get a ton of votes, but luckily I have gotten some votes for each of the polls so far. But I thought this would be a great, again, definitely part of the podcast is being able to find these use cases for all the content multiple times. So the Slate team members was a commercial for my Slate Summit presentation. They also became the cards. The cards became guest gifts. The Slate team created the anime intro. I'm also going to be building the 70s heist with the same titles, but with realistic folks in the videos. So being able to repurpose all this content is so critical, given, I mean, everyone's busy, but with work, family, still doing books and the LinkedIn and the podcast and all the things. So definitely finding ways to use every piece of content in multiple ways was really important. And this was a great way to, again, continue that usage of like, I'm going to repurpose the artwork and the titles and the descriptions and all of that into another packaged piece of content. And that was just cherry on top. Chef's kiss. And this has been so incredibly fun. Like I mentioned earlier, there's the Codex Practitioners, which were then transformed into the tarot cards, which, if you're on my LinkedIn, you've maybe seen a couple of those. But I'm using those for the ForgeWorks Grimoire training series, which also super excited for that. But that's a lift. Creating 12-hour-long videos, training on how to use Slate and how to use them in adaptive enrollment management and persona building and outreach. And anyways, yet another aside I've stumbled down. So I'm very pleased to actually introduce the Innovation Forge Guilders to Leonard Aidtab, the Ledgerborn of Slatechester. That's where the tournament is happening at. And Silas V. Lookup, the Ordained Metricurgus of the Forge Index. They will be helping me alongside my own co-host spot in these brackets. So do join me on LinkedIn to put in your vote for, and I should have pulled up who is actually being voted for in this first bracket. So the first bracket is the number 1 seed Slate Captain versus the number 10 seed Coach. And these seeds were just how I decided to put them. So if you think the Coach is much better than the Slate Captain, and it's a travesty that I placed the Coach as our number 10 seed, then you gotta go vote. Well, you probably can't vote in the first round, so if they lost, you might not be able to vote for them anymore. But I will also say, because I only had 10 Slate team members, the second and third rounds of the bracket, I actually am going to put one of the losers back into the matchup. Maybe it's the person who got the most votes but still lost. Maybe it's the Slate Wildcard. Honestly, I might put my thumb on the scale to make sure the Wildcard loses each round so I can put him back in, because it's what the Wildcard does. But anyways, so number 1 seed, Slate Captain. I mean, who doesn't love a Slate Captain? That's such a profoundly embedded terminology, I think, in all of our vocabularies who work with Slate. But then the second matchup is the number 2 seed, Slate Wizard, versus the number 9 seed, the Tech Whiz. Again, kind of cobbling together some terminology for the Slate team. But then our match 3, we have the number 3 seed Architect versus the number 8 seed Trend Tracker. I guess I probably could have done these introductions for everybody on this, but you'll get them in the later podcast episode where I break down the matches. Then we have the number 4 seed Data Knight versus the number 7. Am I at number 7? Again, I'm not writing this down in any way. So the number 7 seed Wildcard. And if you haven't seen the Slate Wildcard, the Wildcard, it's just a plush shark. And I have so much fun stuff. Like, if you look at the trading card game card, it's the plushy Slate shark in a suit in, like, is it Monaco? No, it's not Monaco. Where's the gambling city at? Monte Carlo. Casino de Monte Carlo. And which is in Monaco, okay. And then I also have a lot of fun stuff, like I said, when I haven't released the live action 70s heist video yet, but there's a lot of fun stuff where he's actually live action slave plushie, in the same suit in the casino, but also explosions, car chases, flying through the air. Really excited for that video, but I honestly don't know when I'm going to get to that. So I guess I'll just leave that cliffhanger there. And then the number 5 seed, number 5 seed, the Fixer, versus the number 6 seed, the Marketing Maven. And we're definitely treating this more so like a jousting tournament than a March Madness bracket. We are on location for the Forgesmith Trials, and this is the Slate team version of this. And we're coming to you live from the heart of Slate Chester itself, just outside the fabled CSS. And now, David, it's pronounced Seas, dear boy, Seas. It's Slate Chester by the Seas. It's not an acronym, it's not a file path. One does not trek through the enchanted precincts of Slate Chester just to sound like a drop-down menu. Thank you. That is Leonard Aidtab, Ledgerborn of Slate Chester, so I will have to, I guess, defer to your pronunciation. But thank you. You can go away now. You'll come back for the actual episode recording. Sorry. And is Silas here too? So I guess I can also introduce you to Silas, who is our metricurgist, who will actually be reporting on the results. Well, now, howdy, gentlemen. I do appreciate the handoff. I've been sitting here with my export scroll, my signal filters, and a tall glass of percentile tea. Now, I don't rush these results, and I don't inflate them neither. What we've got here is a set of clean tallies, straight from the core engagement layer, and I can confirm we are looking at a certified outcome. The standard deviation, well, they're reasonable. The margin of error is respectable. But, the drama is most certainly here. Thank you, Silas. I appreciate you for stopping by as well in the recording studio, but like I said, we're still collecting votes, so I don't know what all that was. But that is to say that they will be joining me for this future episode, maybe episodes. I don't really know yet how the brackets will time out doing, 5 rounds to find our ultimate winner? Yeah, so the Forgesmith Trials, I have an article on LinkedIn. I'll link to it in the show notes. And I'm doing a new article for every round. So the first round introduces our Slate team, shows you the trading cards that I made for each of them. And then I also did LinkedIn posts in the first season of the podcast to introduce you to the team member, what they bring to your team, all those things. The Enrollment Aces. That's probably what I should have named this, because they are the Enrollment Aces. I don't know why I did the Slate team. I will probably have to rebrand this at some point. So it's the Forgesmith Trials, the Enrollment Aces. It's not just the Slate team. I don't know. You will find out when I do this. So it is our first round. It's the 10 members, so 5 matchups. The next one, though, is 3 matchups with a re-entry. Like I said, might be the highest vote getter, might just be the wild card. Then the next round is 2, because again, we have another re-entry, because I did 5 team members. I did 10 team members, not 6. And then we have one last round where, if I personally would have to guess, and again, I don't want to put my thumb on the needle at all, I'm thinking it's going to be the Slate Captain or the Slate Wizard. I'm guessing it'll be either one of those in one of the spots and the wild card in the other. But maybe the people I have on LinkedIn, maybe it's a bunch of marketing people, so they're going to vote for the Marketing Maven and take her all the way to the end. Or maybe I have some real strong data architects and they're going to want that person to go all the way through. I don't know. I'm just thinking kind of how I would want to see this. And I love the Slate Captain, love the Slate Wizard. I can't not love the wild card. That might be if not my favorite, across the enrollment aces and the codex practitioners. It's definitely on my Mount Rushmore. And that's not even how I would necessarily reflect my own identification with this group. I mean, if I was putting together my own personality test, which I do desperately want to put together a personality test that people can take to find out which of these they are, I just haven't. I mean, ideally, I'd love to do that in Slate, but which I have done a personality test in Slate, and I used it to recommend majors. I mean, it wasn't a personality test, I guess. I used the same psychological principles behind a personality test to determine what major to recommend to somebody. That was a ton of fun. That was in Slate as well. That was while I was still at Pitzer. I think I've even mentioned it at my recent current job, and I think there was interest for doing it. So we'll see. But anyways, so if I had to identify myself, not that much of a Slate Captain. Definitely not a coach. Slate Wizard, definitely. A lot of resonance with the Slate Wizard there. Tech Whiz, I'm not that technical. I'm not bad at technical stuff, but I'm definitely not a coder. And then architect, definitely not an architect. Like, not terrible, but it's definitely not something I would associate with myself. Trend tracker, I think I'm pretty trend tracker-ish. I like to listen to a lot of podcasts, webinars, LinkedIn, kind of see what's going on, and not only what are people doing, but what's that next step. So yeah, I think Slate Wizard, trend tracker, I think those are definitely two things that I resonate with. Data Knight, no, that's not me. Wildcard, I definitely associate with Wildcard. I will pull some random stuff sometimes. That is pretty cool. Fixer, I think what I would resonate with myself in Fixer, I think, is another stuff. Marketing Maven, I love marketing. I'm not a copywriter, but I love marketing. So yeah, I would probably say I most closely resonate myself primarily with Wildcard, next with Slate Wizard, then with Trend Tracker, and then Marketing Maven. And then everything else I would say I just don't really resonate that much with. So yeah, that's the first round of the bracket. I'm really excited for this. Like I said, we're doing this bracket. I'm really powering through these ones. So this week I am doing each of the 5 first round matchups every day this week. And then I'll probably start pacing these out a bit more. And then once we're done with the Slate team / the enrollment aces, then I'm doing the codex practitioners. So for the folks who have only listened to the codex, the Innovation Forge codex, that's just the first 6. I got a full 12, and those are the tarot cards. And I'm also doing a live action video for them as well, kind of everyday artisans, which is also gonna be a lot of fun. But oh my goodness, so time consuming. Everything is so time consuming. So at some point you can look forward to a 70s heist video and everyday artisans live action style videos. So yeah, I really hope for my own sanity that people vote in these and enjoy this. But personally, I'm very excited for the brackets, seeing and understanding what people are rooting for and which of these characters people like. I'm also very excited to work with Leonard and Silas on the podcast versions of these. Yeah, and I hope everybody else is too. If you're excited, leave me a comment and let me know if this sounds like something that you'd have fun listening to, and if it comes out and you do enjoy that too, let me know. I love fiction and creativity and all that stuff. So if there's a desire from the community to do more of this kind of fantastical episodes, let me know, and I will be sure to do that as well. As you can see, I'm throwing a lot of spaghetti against the wall to see what resonates with the community. So definitely send me an email at theinnovationforgepodcast@gmail.com. Leave a comment here. I will get back to you, and you can help shape the Innovation Forge podcast. Before we announce the name of a report ghostwriter. Let's learn a little bit more about them. The Tale of Scripsy Wraithpen, the report ghostwriter. In the bustling early days of enrollment management, as Slate Writes stitched together forms and portals, one problem haunted them constantly. Reports. Inquiries needed to be counted, deposits needed to be forecasted, funnel stages begged for clarity, and yet, no matter how many exports were built or dashboards configured, leaders always asked, "Can you pull me a quick report? Can you slice this by territory? What if we just added one more filter?" The reports multiplied like unchecked conditional logic. Queries broke under the weight of ever-expanding parameters, and chaos loomed. And so emerged a mysterious figure. She was part scribe, part specter, known as Scripsy Wraithpen. Floating gently through datasets and dashboards, Scripsy whispered through the pipelines of Slate, where others wrestled with exports and subqueries. Scripsy simply appeared, parchment in one hand, quill in the other, already drafting the requested report before the words had fully left the requester's mouth. With an uncanny sense for the questions behind the questions, Scripsy could filter by cohort, sum by funnel stage, group by counselor, and even cross-tabulate by aid status, all before the next committee meeting began. No dataset was too tangled, no audience export too complex. Scripsy handled recursive joins with an eerie grace, always ensuring that the numbers balanced and the columns aligned perfectly. In time, the Slate Writes gave the spirit its official role, the report ghostwriter. Phantom of filters, summoners of summaries, apparition of accuracy. Legend says if you leave a complex reporting request lingering in your inbox a little too long, you might just wake up to find Scripsy has already delivered a beautifully formatted CSV to your secure file export. Scripsy's motto? I write the reports you meant to ask for. Thank you for joining me today to find out more about our latest Consultant Cadre, Scripsy Wraithpen, the report ghostwriter, and also the upcoming episodes of the Forgesmith Trials. I'm really excited about that one. I think it could be a fun bit of community interaction and engagement, which can never have too much of that in a podcast, given that it's a podcast, and especially one focused so heavily in the Slate community. Let me know what you think, and what else would be good to put through the Forgesmith Trials. What would you vote on? Until then, remember to strike true. For those watching the video, or willing just to see our next mascot, I need a name for our segment, the Consultant Cadre. Send me an email at theinnovationforgepodcast@gmail.com, or find me on the socials like LinkedIn and Instagram to comment your suggestion. As always, I'll send the ebook of The Innovation Forge to all winning name submitters. If you enjoyed today's episode, please grow the guild by rating and reviewing the Innovation Forge podcast, or sharing it with a colleague who needs to hear about these creative crossovers in education. The best review or comment every month will get an ebook of my book, of course. Particularly great ones will also be featured on future episodes. Thank you so much for joining me in the workshop today. Remember to strike true, and let's forge something extraordinary together. Remember to strike true as we forge something extraordinary together. Hi guys. So, I bought a notebook. Nothing fancy, just one of those sturdy hardcovers. With a little elastic strap. College ruled, because I'm not a monster. I even splurged on a fresh pack of gel pens, color-coded, some tabs, Post-its. I have plans. The goal. It's a special segment for the podcast, actually. Something that could live, alongside the interviews, maybe even a spin-off into a report or two. The working title is The Fieldsmith's Register of Systems. I loved the sound of it. It had that slightly dusty artisan feel, like something you'd find wedged between a faculty senate binder and a SCOTUS amicus brief? Well, the idea was simple. Just research the major platforms shaping higher ed today. Not a think piece, not a teardown, just, documentation. What do they claim to do? Who uses them? What are their quirks, their features, their philosophies baked into the UX and the configuration? It's a tour of systems, nothing more. Slate, Workday, Element 451, Razor's Edge, sorry, you know the list. I'm not going to go through it. I was so excited. It felt like a service, like building a guidebook for fellow enrollment folks. IT staff, faculty, vendors, really anyone who'd ever been handed a login and just told, welcome to the ecosystem. Well, my first entry, obviously, is going to be Slate. So I wrote my name at the top of the page. I boxed it in, underlined it twice. I didn't know then, but the second I touched pen to paper, something changed. The Fieldsmith's Register isn't a notebook anymore. It's a map. And I think I just started unfolding it.